Hi guys, welcome back. It's your girl, Damaged Diva, and I'm with another story time for you guys. This one is going to be about when I had an outing with my first boyfriend and his family. I'm not sure if you guys remember, but first, before I get started, if you guys are wondering what this is across me, it's a sling. I recently hurt my arm, and I kind of sprung it real bad, but it's okay. I have to go do a little physical therapy, but I'll be back to normal in no time. But back to the story. Okay, so me and my first boyfriend went on an outing and with his family. And he was a handsome guy. He was handsome. He was fine. He was that. He was a little slow for my liking. I was one of them girls. I wasn't fast or anything. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't fast. But I had friends that was doing a lot of things, and I wanted to try some of them. So, I got me a little boyfriend, and he was a sweet guy. He took me out. He was very polite, and he was a gentleman, and he was everything that a girl should want in a guy. But, of course, when you're young, that's not what you're looking for. But anyway, we went to an outing. He asked me if I wanted to go with him and his cousins and aunts and uncles to Cedar Point. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that amusement park, but it's located in Ohio. Well, I was like, yeah, I want to go. I had never been. Even though I was from Michigan originally, I'd never been to Cedar Point. So I was like, yeah, I want to go. And so he was like, okay. And so what happened was we were going to meet up with all his family, and we were going to drive to Ohio. And so we met up, with his friends. And luckily, I happened to see one of his cousins that I was familiar with. I was like, oh, I done seen her around school. I know her. And she's probably going to watch this video. That's Tisha. She happened to be my best friend now. But anyway, back to the story. So we met up and we drove to Ohio. We ended up staying at one of his uncle's house. And so, we all had to, find places to sleep because they couldn't really hold all of us. It was a bunch of couples. Everybody was all coupled up. Everybody that went were coupled up. And so it was like his aunts and uncles and cousins and, so we were all in one of the uncle's houses. And it was cool, it was cool. So we all had to find, places to sleep. So me and his cousin, which is my best friend now, we all was in one room. And so it was funny because we slept down on the floor and they were like up in bed. And I just remember us kissing all the time. That's what we did all the time. All we did was kiss. I mean, our lips would be raw because we kissed so much. I mean, like he would have hickeys all over them. Back in the day, that was the thing is that if you had a hickey on your neck, you was doing something. I mean, so I was putting hickeys on his neck, and we was kissing. But of course, I had got tired of that. I had grown tired of that. I didn't want to do no more kissing. I was tired. But anywho. So we down here, on the floor, whatever, just having us a good old time, just kissing and carrying on and going on and on and on. And I'm like, when is he going to go to the next step? Like, is we ever going to make it to second base? Is he just going to kiss me to death? Like, is this what it is? Like, is this what we really supposed to be doing? Is this what sex is all about? Like, we just going to kiss? And so I'm like, when is it going to happen? Like, is he going to even try to touch me somewhere or do something? No, he didn't. So we kissed and kissed and kissed. I mean, like, kissing. And I could hear his cousin and her boyfriend. They were on the bed. So I could hear them, laughing. And I think they were like listening to us and talking and whispering. And, at the time, me and her wasn't cool. I just knew her from school. I just knew her from around school. We weren't cool. And so, I could hear them, whispering and talking or whatever. And I kind of felt like they was talking about us, but I wasn't for sure. I didn't know. And so, we were still, carrying on and all that. And so we down here, we kissing and going on and on and going on and on. And next thing I know, he just started making all these faces and, you know, and making all this noise. And I'm like, what the wrong with you? You know, you okay? And he was like, oh, I'm okay. Are you okay? Did I get anything on you? I was like, huh? And so I'm like, get what? You know, clueless, because we young and trying to experiment and do some stuff and didn't even know what we were doing. But anywho, the next day we got up to get dressed and, you know, go to see the point. And so I ended up talking to the cousin. And so she was like, girl, did y'all do something last night? And I was like, huh? And she was like, yeah, do something. I was like, do what? And she said, y'all had sex last night? I was like, girl, no. And she was like, y'all was making all that noise and all that smacking, and he was got all these hickeys all over his neck or whatever, and y'all didn't even do nothing. I was like, no ma'am, no ma'am, no, we didn't do anything, nothing. And she was like, well, what was all that about last night? I was like, I have no idea. I am clueless. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. And so, you know, then he came to me and he was like, oh, I just want to apologize to you last night for doing that to you. I shouldn't have done that. I was like, do what? And he was like, I didn't get on anything on you or anything. I was like, is he talking about what I think he's talking about? Is he for real? And so I'm like, oh my God. Like, really? Like, we could have, I mean, if you was going to do all that, we could have tried something. We could have done something. I mean, if you was going to go there, I mean, really? I don't know what happened. I'm like, what was he thinking? Like, he was my boyfriend. We were boyfriend and girlfriend. I was a senior. No, I was going to be a senior, and he was a sophomore in not high school. He was a sophomore in college. He was a sophomore in college. So I'm like, you know, we can do this. You know, what we waiting on? We can definitely do this. And I would prefer, you know, you give me the full show, the full action of it, instead of you just, you know, wasting. I mean, just wasted the whole little, experience. I'm like, really? I'm like, I'm sitting up here, I'm tired of kissing. All we do is kiss. Then we got everybody thinking that we just done had a full, you know, episode down here on this floor, and we ain't did a damn thing. I mean, nothing happened. And it's funny because me and my friend, we still talk about this to this day, and we like, I'm like, girl, nothing happened. She was like, girl, I can't believe nothing happened. Y'all was doing all that smacking down there on that floor and all that whatever, all that noise. And I'm like, y'all didn't do nothing? I'm like, no, ma'am. No. But we did go to see the point, and we did have a really, really, really good time. I mean, it was a nice time. Like I said, I enjoyed him. He was one of my first boyfriends, and he was fine. Had a nice body and all. He was a gentleman. He just was taking his time. And, you know, when I think about it now, when I look back on it, I'm like, he could have probably been my husband. And he could have probably been a good husband for me. And I'm sitting up here with my hot in the ass. I mean, I just, when you're young, you just, you want to be on the fast lane, and you're not paying attention to things. And I'm like, oh my God, he could have been my husband. We could have had some cute little, handsome little babies, you know. But of course, he wasn't he wasn't up to speed. I'm like, really? Like, you just gonna kiss me to death? And that's all he wanted to do. And we ended up breaking up. But we met back up a couple of years later when I got grown, because he was grown. But when I became an adult, we met up again, but it was still like, he was still the perfect gentleman. And I mean, he's always took things real slow, and I was just looking at him like, we grown now. We can do what we want to do. But now that I look back on it, I'm like, what was I thinking? This could have been my husband. Like, he was a good guy. He really was a good guy. And I just passed him up, just let him go like he was nothing. I'm so done with myself. I'm so outdone. I am so outdone. But anyway, you guys, I hope you enjoyed the story. This is your girl, Damaged Diva. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll get at you guys later. Bye. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Once again, it's your girl, Damaged Diva. How you guys doing? And Merry Christmas. How you guys doing out there today? I hope everyone is great. I'm doing great as well. Go ahead and grab your wine, your tea, coffee, cocoa, whatever you got to drink. I got my wine. Cheers. Cheers. Y'all see my glass? It says happy hour ever after. Yes. Y'all better get y'all some wine. You better get you some wine. Okay, guys, as you can see by the title below, this video is going to be a story time. Yes. Yes, y'all ready? Okay, so, and this is going to be a story time. It's a back in the day story time. It's going to be about Christmas. It was during Christmas time. I was dating a guy, and he was nice. He was nice. I used to call him my little Teddy Ruxpin. He was kind of a big guy, you know. He was cute though, very handsome. He was just, you know, a little healthy, It's okay. It's all good. He was a little healthy, you know. I used to call him my little Teddy Ruxpin. He was really sweet. Really sweet. Really nice guy. I loved him. He was great. So you guys, we went out. It was Christmas time, and he said that he wanted to take me out. And so I was like, okay, we can go out, you know. So we went out to eat. We went to a restaurant. I think the name of it was John Edwards. We went to John Edwards. And it was a nice restaurant. You know, we were young, y'all. We was early 20s, very early 20s, maybe 20, 21. So we went to John Edwards, had a nice little meal. I mean, he was real sweet, polite. I mean, the type of guy that want to open your car door and pull out your chair. And, you know, he was really nice. I mean, hold your hand through the meal type of dude. He was a great guy. He was sweet. He was really sweet. So, guys, we had a nice meal, you know. And then he decided, you know, well, let's go, you know, walk around downtown for a while, you know. So he wanted to walk around on the riverfront. So I'm like, okay, well, great, you know. So we walked downtown, you know, by the waters and stuff. And, you know, we holding hands and all, you know, cuddled up. He was, I mean, like I said, he was a romantic, sweet guy. And so, you know, we stood on the water for a while. You know, we was able to look across over to Canada and, you know, just see all the lights. So it was nice. Like I said, he was a nice guy. And so he was like, well, you know, I got us a room. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, because we were in a relationship, but we hadn't crossed that line yet, okay? We hadn't went there yet. So he was like, well, you know, I got us a room, you know. Are you comfortable with that? And I'm like, you know, yeah, you know, okay. Let's do this. We had been dating a while, and so I'm like, you know, we can do this, okay. And so I go back to the room or whatever, and so he had a nice room at a nice hotel. And so he opens the door, and like I said, it was Christmas time. So he had all of these little stringly things, you know, hanging around and balloons and stuff. And then he had like my gifts wrapped up sitting in the middle of the bed. It was really cute. I mean, it was really cute because up until this point, I really didn't think he had gotten me anything for Christmas. And so I'm like, okay, wow, you know, he really went all out. I mean, he is really outdoing himself. I mean, the room was decorated really nice. And, you know, I was able to open up my gifts and stuff. And, you know, he had me, you know, a couple of gifts. And I know one of them being this purse that I wanted. I wanted this bag, and he got it. So I was really excited. I was happy. And so, you know, I gave him his gifts or whatever, and he was happy, you know, about his gifts as well. And so, you know, as the night went on, you know, he had us some drinks, and so we had a little drink or whatever, and, you know, we was, you know, getting comfortable or whatever, you know, getting in the mood. Okay, great. And so I'm like, well, you know, I guess it's okay, because, you know, this is my boyfriend, this is my dude, this is my guy, you know, we can do this, we can take it to the next level, right? We old enough, we can do this. I'm feeling him, he feeling me. We've been dating a while, you know, we can definitely do this. And so he commenced to give me a little face in the place. And I'm like, this don't feel right. Like, something is not right. Like, I mean, he was kind of like aggressive with it. I'm like, what's going on? He is really aggressive, you know? Like, he was hungry. And I know he wasn't hungry because we just ate dinner. We just had a fabulous dinner. Like, he can't be hungry. This dude ain't hungry. I mean, he is really aggressive down there. Like, dude, what you doing? But, so we, you know, we doing our thing. And it got really, really uncomfortable. So I'm like, okay, you know, we don't have to stop this. Okay. Enough with that. Enough with that. Okay? Moving along. And so I kind of like, I'm not even gonna lie, I had to fake the funk for the rest of the the duration of the rest of the event. I had to fake it, because I'm like, this is getting to be a bit much. Like, he is really an aggressive dude. Like, I mean, he had a lot of built up tension or something. I mean, he was just, I mean, he's a really sweet guy, but you can tell in the bedroom at all. Like, I'm like, dude, you a little aggressive. You know, you have to chill out. You is really going to have to chill out. And I'm like, I can't, you know, dude, you doing a bit much. You doing too much. So, guys, I was like, hey, you know, I'm good. I'm there. I went on, I faked the funk. Made him think I was there. I'm there. You there? You there. Okay. And I'm like, you know, I wasn't, my body wasn't feeling right. Like, I'm like, something is wrong. Like, I'm not feeling right. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go take a bath. And he was like, okay, you want me to run your water or whatever? And I was like, okay, that's fine. So he went and ran my bath water. Like I said, he was a really sweet guy. And so I got in the tub. You know, I got undressed, got in the tub. And I look down, I'm like, she is really swollen. Like, swollen. I'm like, what in the hell? And I'm like, God, please let it go down. I can go the rest of my life like this. Like, please let her go down. I need her. Let her go down. Yeah, she went down. But I was young and silly, and I didn't know. I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I don't think that this is what was supposed to happen in this event. I'm like, Lord, please, just, I'm praying. I'm doing everything. I'm like, just please let her go down, because I can't live the rest of my life like this. Like, hey, are you good, girl? Hey, go down. I need for you to get snapped back. I don't know what he on, but he ain't gonna ever get hold to you no more. Don't even worry. Don't even worry. We good. But, you know, after that, he was like, you know, you all right? Because I think he had a feeling, you know, that something wasn't right. I'm like, he was like, you okay? You know, you all right or whatever? He was a really sweet guy or whatever. And I was like, I'm good. You know, maybe I need a little bit of ice. And so he went and grabbed the bucket or whatever and went and got ice or whatever. And I'm like, I'm laying in the bed with ice, y'all. Like, listen, I got to do what I got to do. And he was like, I'm sorry. I hope I didn't hurt you. And I'm like, no, you know, I'm trying to play it off, trying not to make him feel too bad. But I was like, you need to you know, do something with your appetite. Because, baby, I don't know what you was doing. What was going on with you? But we can't be doing this kind of stuff. Like, really, you have to get hold of yourself. I don't know what was going on. I was like, whoa, we can't be doing this. No, not to my girl. No. But y'all, we had a really good time. After all of that, it was a really nice time. And I enjoyed myself with him. Like I said, he was a sweet guy. He really was. He didn't mean any harm. He really didn't. Honestly, I'm going to just be honest. I don't think he knew what he was doing. I'm just going to be real honest. He didn't know what he was doing. He was trying to please your girl. Your girl wasn't pleased. Neither one of us. We weren't pleased. We weren't pleased at all. But like I said, he was a sweet guy, and I enjoyed him and our time together. And yeah. So that was that. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Once again, it's your girl, Damaged Diva. Go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. And also hit the little bell for the alert so you'll know when I have a new video coming out. And I hope you guys have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year if I don't get to talk to you guys before then. Bye-bye. Hi, guys, and welcome back to my channel. As you can see, it's your girl, Damaged Diva, back with another video. And as you can see by the title below, today's video is going to be about being left in the snow naked. Yes. So let's get into it. And also, guys, before we get started, go ahead and grab your wine, your coffee, your tea, or me, my hot chocolate. Y'all look at my mug. Isn't she cute? She is cute. I love my mugs. I need to stop buying them because I got too many. And today it says, I saw that, Karma. I thought this mug was fitting. I thought it was fitting. So, guys, let's get into the story. So, guys, now when I was about 19, 20-ish, as I said, I have a lot of throwback stories. I mean, I done some wild things. I went through some things back in the day. Yes. And just a disclaimer, I do not think that I'm perfect. I have not been perfect. I have not. But back in the day, and even now, I still have a lot of stories to tell. So, on with the story. So, back in the day, you know, I was 19, 20-ish, and I used to work at a department store, and I used to work midnights. Well, I would call my boyfriend at the time to let him know when I was going to leave to go to work. I would always talk to him before, you know, I left that night to go to work. And we both were still staying at home because, like I said, we were young. And I called him, and his sister answered the phone. And so I'm like, hey, you know, we're going to call him Jack. We're going to call him Jack. Okay, so I'm like, hey, can I speak to Jack? And so she was like, well, Jack isn't here. He's at the hospital. I said, well, he at the hospital. He okay? And she was like, well, he got shot. I was like, he got shot? And she was like, yeah, somebody tried to rob him and they shot him. And I'm like, oh my God. And she was like, but he okay. You don't need to go to the hospital. He okay. You don't have to go to the hospital. And so I'm like, okay. I said, but what hospital is he at? And so she tells me. So I hang up the phone and I immediately call in to work. You know, and I'm like, you know, you guys, I'm not going to be able to make it in today. I'll see you tomorrow. And so, you know, they okayed it for me to be off. And, you know, I told my sister because she used to drop me off at work every night. And so I was like, you know, hey, instead of, you know, going to work, I need you to drop me off at the hospital. Because, you know, I'm telling her, hey, Jack done got shot. I don't really know what's going on with him. I need to go check on my man. And so she was like, okay. And so she takes me up there and she leaves. And so immediately when I walks into the emergency room, I see his mom and his stepdad sitting there. And I see some other girls, you know, with them. And I go over to talk. And I was like, hey, you know, what's going on? And so she tells me, you know, he got robbed and, you know, they shot him in the leg. And, but he, you know, he's going to be okay. He's going to be okay. Everything is going to be fine. You know, they left him in the snow naked. And I was like, what? She was like, yeah, he was all beaten up and, you know, they just beat him up and they shot him. You know, his mom used to exaggerate real bad. You know, they beat him up real bad, whatever, and he, you know, they shot him and they stole all his stuff and his shoes, because this was around the time when the Jordans first came out. And he was a big fan of Jordans. He always was one of the guys that had to have them first. You know, he was standing in lines waiting on them. He was that guy. And so, you know, they took everything, you know, and he was actually got shot in his neighborhood. And so, so finally, one of their nurses come out and tell his mom, you know, you can go back there and see him. And so she goes back there. And so, you know, we sitting and we waiting. And finally, she comes out. And so she said, okay, she comes to me and she was like, okay, he wants to see you. And I was like, okay. And so I get up to go back there. And so his dad was like, you know, I want to get a chance to see him, because they was about to take him off to surgery. And they was just letting us see him before he went to surgery. And so his dad was like, I want to see him, so don't be long. I said, okay, I'm going to be right back. So I go back there. And I'm like, oh, you know, my baby. And I'm looking at, because I'm just expecting to see him all beat up. And, you know, because his mom was like, you know, he was just beat up and his face was messed up. And I get back there with nothing wrong with his face. Like, he was perfectly fine. I mean, fine. Like, ain't nothing wrong with his face. Like, he is fine. He's just shot. But I'm like, you know, oh, you okay? You okay? And so he was like, you know, I'm gonna be all right. You know, they shot me and this and that, whatever. They took all my stuff. And I'm like, you know, okay. And he was like, what you doing out there, though? I said, what you mean? I came to see you. He said, yeah, but what you doing out there in the lobby? I was like, I'm not doing nothing. I'm sitting with your mom. And he's like, okay, well, don't talk to nobody. I was like, huh? And he was like, yeah, don't talk to nobody. Don't say nothing. Just be quiet. Don't talk to nobody. And so I don't know for the life of me what I was on when I was younger. But when I said that I didn't have a clue, baby, I couldn't buy a clue when I was 19. I could not buy a clue. And he was like, you know, I don't want you talking to anybody. I was immediately thinking, oh, you know, my man is trying to protect me, you know, in some type of way. You know, he's trying to protect me. And I'm thinking, you know, well, maybe the guys that robbed him, he think, you know, they gonna come back or, you know, something or whatever. So, you know, I need to do what my man say. So I tell him, I said, you know, your dad wants to see you, so I'm gonna have to go back out here and so he can come back. And he was like, no, I want you to stay right here until I go to surgery. You stay right here with me. And I'm like, but your dad, he's like, I don't care. He said, you just stay right here. So I'm like, okay. And so, you know, I do. I stay there with him or whatever. So they get ready to take him off to surgery. And I go back out to the lobby. So his dad was like, what happened? I was like, I'm so sorry. I said, but Jack would not let me come back out. I said, he wanted me to stay right there with him until he went off to surgery. I was like, I tried. And so I sit down. So the nurses come back out and they move us to a private waiting room. So, you know, me, his mom and dad, and it was initially 3 other girls. And one of them left. Well, actually, 2 of them ended up leaving. And so we goes back to the waiting rooms, and one of the girls returned. And so she had like sandwiches and stuff from McDonald's. She had went and got food. And, you know, she was passing them out to his mom and dad and stuff. And so I'm still, you know, sitting here thinking like, you know, who is these girls? You know, maybe they his cousins or somebody, you know. I'm not, just like I said, when I was younger, I did not have a clue. Even though I had never met these girls before, ever. And I had never met any cousins. I don't even think he had cousins that he knew of. And so I'm like, you know, I'm just sitting here with not a clue. And the thing about me is I have always been a talker. Like, I will be a conversation starter in a minute, especially when I get bored. I will get to running off at the mouth. So the mom and dad, they had started, it was late, because mind you, I work nights. So the mom and dad had started dozing off, going to sleep, and, you know, it was just me and these, you know, other 2 girls, you know, sitting here. One was kind of sitting beside me, and the other one was kind of like sitting over, you know, off to herself. And so the one that was beside me, you know, I turned to her and I was like, hey, you know, what's your name? And let's say she said her name was Bella. So let's say her name was Bella. And so I'm like, hey, what's your name? And she's like, Bella. And so I'm like, okay, Bella, so I tell her, my name. And so I said, so what are you to Jack exactly? And she was like, she kind of, laughed to herself, like, I'm his girlfriend. And when I tell you, like, my mouth just dropped open, like, and like my chest, my heart felt like it was just about to jump out my chest. I'm like, it just started beating real fast, like, what? I'm like, no, what? You his who? Y'all, this day and time, that wouldn't have went over too well. But back then, I couldn't buy a clue. I couldn't buy a clue. And so she said, yeah, I'm his girlfriend. And I was like, no, that can't be because I'm his girlfriend. And so she was like, really? And I said, yeah, really, I'm his girlfriend. And so she goes on to say, I was with him when he bought that purse. And so I looked down at my purse. I said, this purse? And so she was like, yeah, I had my little black on black Dooney and Burke. And I'm like, this purse? And she was like, yeah, I was with him when he bought that purse. He said he was buying it for his sister. And I was like, well, clearly, you see it's not for his sister. He bought me this for Christmas. And so she looks at my watch. Now, everybody that knew me back in the day in my teens know that I loved me some Marvin the Martian. Loved him. I loved me some Marvin. I had Marvin the Martian dishes and just shirts and ink pens and watches. I had a lot of gifts. People would give me gifts and stuff, with Marvin the Martian. And even as I got into my 20s or whatever, I was still Marvin the Martian crazy, that I even had another ex. He ended up getting a tattoo of Marvin the Martian on his chest. But, so everybody knew I loved Marvin the Martian. And so she was like, yeah, where you get that watch? He gave you that? And I was like, yeah. She was like, And she was like, I went with him when he, got that too. He had me, take him to go and pick up those gifts or whatever, and that he was saying was for his sisters. And I was like, well, he got me all this stuff. They were all gifts from him, And so, I'm sitting here and I'm just trying to take it all in, because I'm like, she gotta be lying. Like, she's lying. She's not telling me the truth. I know she's not. I don't care what she's saying. She is not telling me the truth. This can't be. But we carried on conversation, and she's just, telling, we kind of exchanging stories, because I'm like, this is my man, He's with me all the time, When we're not at work, we're together. We go out every weekend. He take me out all the time. Like, he is not cheating on me with nobody. Can't be. No, not at all. But anyway, we steady exchanging stories or whatever. And so, mind y'all, now, I wasn't like sexual. I wasn't like really out there. So he was like, one of my first. And I'm like, that I experienced a lot of things with. So I asked him, like, hey, I said, why we talking? I said, when y'all get, intimate and stuff or whatever, is he, going down on you? And she was like it was, nothing. Like, girl, yeah. And I was like, what? And she was like, yeah, that ain't nothing. And I was like, oh my God. Because I thought, that's something you just share with special people. You don't just be out here willy-nilly doing all that with everybody. And so I'm like disgusted now at this point, like, I cannot. And so I don't know how, I don't really quite remember how the other girl ended up in the conversation, but let her tell it, he was seeing her too. And so I'm like, this is not happening. I'm like, this is just not happening. So you mean to tell me I'm sitting up here in the waiting room with a bunch of girls that claim to be his girlfriend? And I'm like, this can't be happening. So finally, he was out of surgery, and we was all able, his mom and dad was able to go back and see him first. So when they went to see him. They went home. So we all ended up going back there in the room together. It was three of us. We went back there together. And his eyes, when I was like, they was like dollar signs. They got like really big. And so I'm the emotional one. I'm like, what's going on? You don't have to tell me, Jack, what's going on? Yeah. And so, you know, the rest of them was kind of, you know, quiet and had smirks and stuff, you know, whatever. And so the one girl that was like sitting across from us, he was like really just like, you know, F you, I don't know what you talking about, whatever. So, you know, she was like, you know, but what, F you too. And she left. So now it's just me and the girl that was sitting over Bella, Messy Bella, that was sitting over beside me. And so I'm like, you know, he was like, I'm not going with her. He's like, she just a friend. We just really cool or whatever. You remember I told you I had a homegirl? Well, this is her. He's like, she just a friend. We ain't going together or whatever. She's not my girlfriend. She's just a friend. And so when he said that to me, you know, in her face, I took it for what it was. I didn't, you know, come back with, you know, well, she said XYZ out there, you know, in the waiting room or whatever. I didn't even ask him about none of that. I didn't say none of that. I just, when he told me that she was just a friend and she was standing there, I took it for what it was. I was like, okay, well, y'all just friends. And so, you know, me and him, I'm sitting on his bed talking to him, you know, and she was like moving around the room, like cleaning up stuff. Like, you would have thought she was a maid. She was moving around, you know, cleaning up stuff, making sure he had water in his pitcher and, you know, just moving around the room. So eventually, I go home. And so, you know, because it's way late. It's way over into the morning. So, you know, eventually I go home. We leave. And I remember I laid down, I took a nap, and I got back up. And my sister was like, you know, telephone. And so I go and get the phone. Now we had house phones, so I go get the phone. I'm like, you know, hello. And I hear somebody on the other end like, oh, cheery, hey. And I'm like, hello? Because I'm like, this ain't one of my girls, you know. Ooh, who is this? I'm like, and she's like, oh, you remember me? This Bella from the hospital. And I'm like, huh? And I'm like, how you get my number? And so she was like, well, I already knew about you because I followed him to your house one day. I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, you know, I followed him to your house one day when y'all were going out. I seen you come out and get in the car and everything. So I already knew about you or whatever. So I just called information and gave them your address and got your phone number. And I'm just on the other end, like just silent, just clueless. And she was like, but anyway, so since Jack says I can't come to the hospital unless you're there, you want to go to the hospital? I'm like, what? And she was like, yeah, you want to go to the hospital? I'll come and pick you up and everything. Y'all, I cannot make this shit up. I can't make this shit up. Yes. This girl done called me up, knew about me the whole time. I have no clue about who she is. She done seen me before, told me what I had on when we was going out. I mean, the whole nine, like, and y'all, she offered to come and pick me up so that we can go to the hospital together because she couldn't be there. My story time. Once again, it's your girl, Damaged Diva. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And until then, next time. Bye-bye.